Good morning, Mets fans, and welcome to a Tuesday edition of Driving with Mr. Met. I am Mr. Met, and it's been a while since I've recorded something. It was before the Marlins series over the weekend, where the Mets dropped 2 out of 3 to wrap up what was the worst month in the history of the franchise as far as records is concerned. And that's saying something when you consider how terrible this franchise has been some years. But it's onward and upward as far as I'm concerned. I want to talk about a record the Mets now hold and talk about the rest of this week and when I'll be back. It really is bizarro world when Jacob deGrom takes a loss to the Miami Marlins. But that is exactly what happened over the weekend. Jake pitched on Saturday. The Mets made some more dumb base running mistakes and lack of situational hitting mistakes and things along those lines. You know, all the things that we've gotten used to over the course of the first few months of this season. But Jake fell apart. Really did fall apart in the 6th inning. I think it was the 6th inning on Saturday, and had a 2-0 lead at that point, and it quickly eroded away on a Brian Anderson home run. And then a couple of batters later, the misplay at first base, Wilmer Flores didn't charge, run scores, game over. Yes, Jacob deGrom lost to the Marlins. You know, going into the series, I was thinking to myself, if we can steal one of either the Friday or the Sunday game, we might actually win a series, because Jake's going Saturday, and no way the Marlins are going to beat Jake. Well, he lost. And after the game, you know, he finally showed a little bit of cracks in his, you know, strong demeanor that he's always putting out there, and that, you know, that public face that he shows, where he's just very stoic and very, you know, reserved and doesn't get animated or show any kind of emotion really. But he sort of cracked, and he sort of said, you know, I'm sick of losing. And everyone who was watching that, I think we all kind of breathed a collective sigh of relief. We're like, you know what? Shit, man, we are sick of losing too. Unfortunately, there's no end in sight, but that's neither here nor there. So anyhow, the Mets dropped 2 out of 3 from the Marlins, finished June with a whopping total of 5 wins on the month. That is an insanely bad record. As I said earlier, worst month in franchise history, record-wise. And, you know, Gary and Keith were talking about it over the weekend about, you know, how the Mets are losing these games and how many close games they're in and how many of these games could have gone either way. And I mentioned it last week when I talked, when I recorded about the bullpen, and how the bullpen really has shit the bed so many times. They've cost this team, you know, 10 to 12 wins easily, and that's just brutal. And you know, but it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, all that matters is who's winning at the end of the 9th inning, and it hasn't been the Mets very much in the month of June. But Sunday was the beginning of a new month, and I am very happy to report that the Mets are tied with the Major League lead for the best record in the month of July. At least they were yesterday. Other teams probably played games and I wasn't paying attention yesterday, so some teams are probably 2-0, so that probably made more sense when I said it yesterday. But the Mets were tied for the best record in the majors in the month of July after the Sunday win. A couple of things as far as this week goes. The Mets start up a 2-game set in Toronto after an off day yesterday. The Mets play the Blue Jays today and tomorrow. Then they're off again on Thursday. And just a weird, you know, it's a weird schedule for me. I don't quite get how, you know, some parts of the schedule you're playing 18 days in a row, and a lot of times you got a doubleheader thrown in there, so you're playing 19 games in an 18-game stretch, and then you have a week like this one where you have 2 built-in off days, and that just it's always bugged me, you know, and I've never understood why that had to be. But I don't make the schedule, so I wanted to mention that the 2 off days this week kind of bugged me a little bit. But other than that, I am looking forward to the 4th of July. I hope you all are as well. Looking forward to returns of Mets baseball players who haven't been on the field in a long time. And Mets blog wrote a story earlier this week about sort of questioning who's going to be back first. Is it going to be Yoenis Cespedes or David Wright? And if on May 20th, a couple of days after Cespedes went on the DL, where we were told it would just be a couple of days, if Mets blog had run that story then, we all would have laughed at it. But now, I gotta be honest, I almost think David Wright's gonna be back before Cespedes. And the real trouble for me with that is that David Wright is doing everything he can in his power to make a return and play baseball again. And on the flip side of that, we're seeing Yoenis Cespedes, who hasn't done anything seemingly in a month. And I'm not indicting the player. I'm just saying maybe there is something to be said for the passion that David Wright has for this game, and for this, more importantly, for this team, that is missing from Mr. Cespedes. Maybe he's doing what his doctors are telling him to do. But man, I don't know. It's a whole month without, next to no progress, no prognosis, no signs as to when he'll return. I think all of us can agree when I say, thank God the Mets got rid of Ray Ramirez, because where would they be if they still had Ray Ramirez? Oh, that's right, they'd be in the exact same position they are right now, with everybody and their mother on the disabled list. I'll never be able to figure that one out. But the bright side is, we may well get to see David Wright in uniform playing third base in the near future for the New York Mets. And I, for one, would love to see it one more time. I think I'd try to get to Citi Field to see it. And I would also love to see Wright and Reyes patrolling the left side of the infield just one more time. Just for nostalgia purposes. It isn't like we're going to be giving anything up defensively, or on the season with our standings, if we play, if the Mets play David Wright and Jose Reyes for half a game on the left side of the infield. So that's going to wrap it up for today. I don't have, like I said, I don't have much to talk about because there's nothing fun to talk about. And honestly, it's why I haven't been recording videos as often as I used to. I have nothing good to say. I have nothing positive to say. It's the same old shit, different day with this team. So I apologize for not recording more often. I will tell you, this will be the only video I record this week. I'm going to be off on Thursday and Friday, and also on Monday of next week. So the earliest I will return will be Tuesday, the 10th of July. And by then, the Mets will have like 2 wins. So until then, I thank you for watching. I appreciate it as always. You can follow me on Twitter at Mr_Met. And as always, let's go Mets.